Alright, everybody. So, this is a segment that very well may get me canceled. Just absolutely crushed into the fucking mud. Because I'm going to be talking about, not even in like an overtly critical way, but in a vaguely critical way. A content creator that's like currently one of those people you're just not allowed to criticize. Like, you know how there's just certain people that you're just not allowed to criticize on the internet? Like, if you say anything even close to critical of them, you will get dogpiled. Because they have such a, you know, wide supporter base and a lot of glazers, to be fair. That person is Wendigoon. Now, my opinion on Wendigoon is a little mixed, okay? I discovered this guy. He's a huge YouTuber, by the way. Here's his channel. His name is a combination of Wendigo and, I guess, Goon? I don't know if it's supposed to be short for Gooner. I would hope not. I would assume not, because that's not really his brand, if you know him, like, at all beyond, like, the videos. I assume it's just, like, meant to sound funny. I'm pretty sure that's what the joke is supposed to be. But Wendigoon is a pretty interesting content creator. He makes a lot of videos about a variety of things. Everything from conspiracy theories to real life, like, unsolved mystery horror stories to the stories of serial killers to the, to takedowns of, like, people who have maybe misrepresented a story, right? Like, he's done a lot of variety there, but he also covers a lot of theology. And it's not in quite a critical way or like an objective way, because you see, Wendigoon is a Christian. And not like he believes in Christianity, like, passively, or like he maybe goes to church or prays and, you know, believes, has faith or whatever. Not as simple as that. Wendigoon believes in angels and demons and God, and that the Bible happened literally. When Wendigoon goes on to podcasts, for example, and describes how people think about the Bible, he says some people, some Christians, think that the Bible is just a guidebook for your morals and ideas. And when he talks about certain conspiracies, or even suggests that I've seen the guy suggest at one point that a certain alien, like an alien sighting, could have been angels. And I don't mean that, like, ironically or as a joke. Like, he wasn't joking there, or being, like, funny or, like, facetious, or, like, hey, maybe it was angels or something, you know? Like, I could see him doing that, and I could imagine you could too. No, he was serious. He suggested that one of the more credible UFO spottings could have actually been an angel, because of something in the Bible about, like, angels giving technology to ancient humans or something that could have been what people think were aliens, but it's actually angels. He believes that stuff. God is real, you're a sinner. Well, there's a Wendigoon fan, it would seem. Listen, I don't think Wendigoon's a bad guy, or like evil or far right, but there are definitely some cringe things he believes, just objectively. Like, come on. I have seen how much people glaze for this guy. I watch PKA, the Painkiller Already podcast. These guys, besides like racism and homophobia, don't like much else more than dunking on Christianity or any religion. And they love dunking on Christianity even when someone who believes in that stuff is on their podcast. Except for when it was Wendigoon, one of their biggest guests of all time. When they had Wendigoon on there, all of a sudden, it was all curiosity about Christianity, everyone holding their tongue about making jokes about priests being pedophiles, or about, like, how ridiculous it is that everything in the Bible is so over-the-top impossible and people believe it literally. They drop all that stuff as not to offend Wendigoon when they brought him on multiple times. It just really comes off as, like, not just people that are fans of his content, but, like, other content creators kind of glaze the guy a little bit. You know, like, the standards feel a little inconsistent, right? It's no fun to kick a puppy, lol, so no, it isn't fun to make fun of Isaiah to his face. Is that his name? Isaiah? I think that's it. He comes off as a really nice guy. That's actually really good. I like that, that distinction. It's no fun to kick a puppy, so no, it isn't fun to make fun of him to his face. Yeah, like, he comes off so nice. And I don't know if it's genuine or not, frankly. I don't know inside of his head. I'm actually inclined to believe it's genuine, to be honest, and I'll show you why. I have a point to all this, by the way. There's a reason why I'm talking about this stuff, and it has to do with the recent discourse. I'm just giving you guys some context on how I think about this. Let me see if I can find it. There was like a reply. Well, I guess I kind of have to give the context for this to make any sense, don't I? Where the fuck is my retweet? Oh god, Twitter sucks now. It really, really sucks now, bro. Here we go. Okay, so a dude who looks a lot like Noah Samson named something something Shadows that does also quite a bit of horror content, but he's like also kind of a Hassan orbiter lefty and thus incapable of making a good argument or critique, made a video calling out Wendigoon. And while some of the arguments, such as Wendigoon's numerous friendships with like actual alt-righters, were good points, they were surrounded by arguments that were very vibes-based. Like, the guy definitely has the right idea about Wendigoon, or maybe like an approximating right idea about Wendigoon, but fails entirely to make the argument for why even a like super left-leaning person should see things his way, and thus it just comes off as a really insidious attack video, especially when, like, let's say hypothetically Wendigoon is evil, or something, like secretly evil or something. He's done a if that's the case, he has done a phenomenal job of hiding that behind a very good character. And so if you criticize that character, you're playing into who this supposedly evil person playing a good character wants you to do, which is to criticize that good character and look deranged, right? Yeah, so, like, even from the perspective of someone who thinks Wendigoon is secretly a bad guy, it wasn't a good line of attack for the guy to go on. The something into shadows, walk into shadow. I forget what the guy's name is. He looks like Noah Samson, and that's all I remember about him, right? Anyway, I will say, though, I don't think Wendigoon is evil, nor do I even think that Wendigoon is really right-wing. For one, to be clear, the Shadows guy made some arguments up, too, so it's like some of the things he said were just outright wrong. Let's go ahead and take a look at what Wendigoon replied to this tweet. Now, or to this video by the guy. Mind you, at the time that he posted this, there was no public pressure on Wendigoon to make a statement like this. Everybody, like a tidal wave, had gotten behind Wendigoon and crashed against this Noah Samson clone-looking dude, right? There was no public pressure or financial incentive at all for Wendigoon to do this, except maybe potentially to enforce the perception of him as a really nice guy. But that could also just be him being a really nice guy, right? You know, the internet makes you really on edge because there's been so many people who have been way worse than they let on, and so now it feels almost as though everyone's guilty until proven innocent, which is not a standard we want to uphold, you know? We don't want that to be how we operate. But I want you to hear this comment, knowing that Wendigoon really has no pressure to have made it, right? Please, no one harass or comment rude things on my behalf. I do not agree with or condone meanness in any way. If you're here to leave a spiteful remark on my behalf, don't. Nothing good comes from anger. I want to apologize for people saying awful things to you on Twitter. I did not know this was happening and don't stand by that behavior. I followed you because I saw your Slender Man video and enjoyed it, then saw you in my recommended follows. It sounds like you strongly dislike me and that's okay, but if I've done anything to cause that, I apologize. If I've ever spoken against you without cause or made any joke at your expense, I am sorry. I did not follow you to harass you, but if that contributed in any way, I wish I could take it back. He apparently follows anyone who criticizes him, which is also a very nice thing. Like, to an extent, ChatGPT ass post, I get that, but also this is literally how Wendigoon talks. Like, this is how Wendigoon talks. This doesn't come off as a ChatGPT prompt message. This is just how he speaks, translated into words. You don't have to like me, but I hope you do not feel I have ill will against you. There is a lot you assumed incorrectly about me that's to be expected. I try to keep my life private in what ways I can, and my friends mentioned in the video can can take up for themselves. I will only point out that your assertion about Brandon Buckingham is particularly egregious because the lie regarding a threat was made up by Sneeko when Brandon called him out on his behavior. Now, Brandon Buckingham, I like him more than most that inhabit the space he's in, but Brandon Buckingham is like a right-leaning shock jock comedian. Like, one of the things he did was, like, go outside of a Dave Chappelle stand-up show to, like, kind of piss off the protesters that were upset that Dave Chappelle is transphobic, and they were carrying signs that say jokes are funny. As if any of the protesters outside were arguing that, like, that Dave Chappelle shouldn't be allowed to make jokes. I think they're protesting the platforming and the arguments he's making. Like, you're allowed to protest an argument without it being against the person making the argument's freedom of speech. In fact, I'd argue suggesting that people aren't allowed to protest that are the ones against freedom of speech. But hey, what can I say? Anyway, Brandon Buckingham, pretty right-leaning. A lot of Wendigoon's friends are right-leaning. And I don't mean just right-leaning, I mean, like, they want to kill trans people right-leaning. Like, Wendigoon is friends with people who want to kill trans people. And that's where a lot of the left's comes from. But one thing you got to remember is we're back in Gamergate 2. We're in Gamergate 2, and a fundamental thing you have to remember about Gamergate was someone being friends with an actual, open, admitted Nazi could not be used as a mark on their character. Back then, if you ever said, wait, this guy's literally just hanging out with a bunch of Nazis, the response you always got was, guilt by association much? And we are right back, we're right back in the sequel no one wanted, where you're not allowed to criticize people for the company they keep, politically. Because right now we're in this era where, like, the idea of caring about politics enough that it guides in any way, shape, or form your associations or friendships, or how you, like, who you choose to be around, that's, like, woke and cringe, and, like, kinda cringe, bro. You know what I mean? I never even wanted the original, so true. Sneeko. Although, to be fair, Brandon did own Sneeko pretty hard, but even the right hates Sneeko at this point because he's just so pathetic. I know you wouldn't support an internet figure like Sneeko, but you inadvertently did by not checking the source. I've made similar mistakes most YouTubers at one point or another have, but harmful allegations spread when people parrot rather than decipher data. I have said things in the past that I do not... I've said things in the past that I do not agree with now and am learning to better myself daily, and each day find myself more in the wrong. I am sorry for the things I've said to bring hurt or strife onto any person or people. May God forgive me. I hope you're successful. The Slenderman video is great. That's complimenting the video, one of the videos the person criticizing Wendigoon made. And I hope you don't find myself or my audience impeding your career. And again, if you're here to leave a mean comment for me, don't be mean. Yeah. He multiple times in this comment he left on the video the person made about him. Don't leave a comment if you're one of my fans harassing this person. Don't do it. Just get out of here. Just leave. Disliking and, like, hate commenting and harassing this person. You're not welcome. I really like that. Even if it's not genuine, that statement means a lot. And I think it's genuine. This felt genuine. So, I'm going to go ahead and say, my position on Wendigoon, what I think Wendigoon is a guy, a normal dude, probably from, like, a pretty rural area, I think, like, somewhere in the Midwest, if I recall correctly, grew up very Christian, became an adult, solidified heavily into that Christianity, and has gotten into a career since that, like, his Sunday school job, his day job is as a Sunday school teacher. He teaches kids the Bible. He's from Tennessee, yeah, deep south, right? Like a very Christian conservative area. So at the very least, while I don't think he's hyper-conservative or anything, I think that conservatism is seen to him as a much more normal thing and not like an over-the-top hateful thing. Like, even if it is over-the-top and hateful. Which is why a lot of people on the left have a problem with him. And many might say, oh, well, guilt by association, but I mean, come on, some of these things are pretty serious. For example, a friend of Wendigoon's Or at least I know that this guy is, like, always at the YouTuber gun range. Like, you know how there's the YouTuber range day things? Wendigoon's at every single one because he's basically an honorary gun tuber, but, like, he doesn't do gun tube content, but he's, like, part of that community because he's such good friends with all the gun tubers and he likes guns IRL. This is one of his friends, if I recall correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure Wendigoon is friends with this Micah Mayfield guy. I know I've seen pictures of them posing together at the range days, the YouTuber range days. But here's a recent clip from one of Micah Mayfield's videos.
And your optic does not turn on, and you just have a hollow tube of glass that you're putting on a train. Sorry about that, school shooter. And
they shoot together? Yeah. Now, this is not the only one of Wendigoon's friends who has publicly expressed a hatred of trans and gay people that reaches on, like, joking about killing them with the gun they're holding in their hand on video right before they go and shoot it. There's quite a few people within GunTube, which, you know, Wendigoon is deeply embedded within, that are like this. Unfortunately, like, the gun community online is heavily dominated by people like this. In fact, another YouTuber who is, like, both visually similar to Wendigoon, but also has a similar effect of, like, you can't criticize the guy, that I criticized and got canceled for recently, was Brandon Herrera. Now, they didn't really go after me as hard as the guy who criticized Wendigoon did, because if they did, then people might have watched my video and seen Brandon Herrera in his Confederate flag shirt doing the ad for the Confederate, like, society thing. Here, let me see if I can find it. Brandon Herrera Confederate Society ad. Here's the pictures. Can I find the video? Here it is. Yep. So yeah, this is Brandon Herrera. Maybe he was younger. Maybe he's changed since then. But this is a young Brandon Herrera in a shirt with a Confederate flag on it, doing a doing an ad for a Confederate Heritage Society, quote-unquote. 4 years, by the way.
Hi there. I'm Brandon Herrera with Fayetteville Arsenal Camp, number 168, and welcome to the SCV. The SCV, or the Sons of Confederate Veterans, is a historical honor society dedicated to preserving Confederate heritage and learning more about our ancestors who fought and died in the War of Northern Aggression.
The War of Northern Aggression. I covered this clip, and Brandon Herrera's fans jumped on me. Many of them clearly not having watched the video because I guess I waited too long to show this clip, like 2 minutes is too long in, and they accused me of having, like, no evidence to suggest or to support my claim. But many of the other comments were things like, that's not even a Confederate flag, that's the Tennessee battle flag. They come out with, like, the, like, copium shit I heard from racists when I was 8. When I'd be like, why do you have a Confederate flag on your truck? Do you hate black people? I didn't have any filter when I was a kid. So, like, if I saw, like, a dude in a store wearing a Confederate flag shirt, I would just outright ask, do you hate black people? Just full, like, I didn't know that was, like, a thing you shouldn't just outright do. Like, cause, like, but at the same time, I would also say things like, nah, being gay is fine. If someone makes the choice to be gay, I guess. I don't know how you do that, but if they choose to be gay, they're not hurting anybody. Like, it should be allowed. I don't get why people have such a problem with it. I said that when I was a kid, too. My heart was in the right place, but you know, he's right, but he's out of line, you know? Yeah, Kid Zan W. Speaking of Kid Zan, by the way, here, you guys want to see a Kid Zan jump scare? My mom sent me a photo from when I was, like, maybe 10 at Busch Gardens at the Prairie Dog area where they have the prairie dogs at Busch Gardens. This is a photo of, like, maybe 10 or 11-year-old me. So this is what I would have looked like at the time. More or less. This is when I had brown hair as a kid. Big Ouncerton's family? Well, that's a prairie dog, not a head, prairie dog? No, wait. Meerkat, not a prairie dog, damn it. No, it's a meerkat, my bad. It's a meerkat. I mix up meerkat and prairie dog, like, by name often. This is a meerkat. These are the guys that live in the colonies underground, like it's standing on its little tunnel, and it's keeping watch. This is the watch. This is the watch meerkat. This is the one that like screams if something predatory comes, and all the others come downstairs into the hole. He's out on watch, and that's why he's just sitting there still for me to get a nice photo with. But yeah, that's young Zan. That's what I looked like when I was a little guy, just a little lad. Why does your face remind me of Tobey Maguire? I don't know. Maybe I'm Spider-Man. I should try to get every spider in my house to bite me until I get spider powers. Surely it can't end like poorly, right? Anyway, that little stun lock aside, you can probably understand where I'm coming from, right? Like Wendigoon, or where a lot of people on the left are coming from, I guess. Where Wendigoon's a nice guy, and he's so broadly loved, but so many people he's associated with are like actually hateful, or at least there is evidence that at some point they were. That has given some pause to many people that are on the left, because from the perspective of someone who is left-leaning, someone being well-loved and respected is a powerful tool. There are many institutions who know this. One, for example, just to give like a very broad, well-known example that isn't going to be controversial, Scientology. Think about Scientology. They know that someone being well-loved, famous, and liked means that whatever ideology, belief, or even religion they aspire to or ascribe to is going to be benefited by that. That person is effectively an advertisement. Like Tom Cruise, for example, is literally a walking, talking, living advertisement for the Church of Scientology. Or I should say the cult of Scientology. And the deeper you go into learning about Scientology, the darker and darker it gets, by the way. It's rough. Anyway, something that I find interesting is that logic is almost ignored when it comes to politics. Obviously, if someone is a large, beloved figure and they have a certain set of political values that at least you can glean at the very least, and they are broadly liked, their likability is going to make those politics more likable, even if that person is an outlier. So let's say that, like, Wendigoon is a hyper-Christian, hyper-right-wing, like, homophobic person, which I don't think he is homophobic or transphobic, to be honest, because I've seen him be kind to trans people, for example. This is something I feel I would be remiss to not bring up, by the way. Like, Wendigoon has said, like, not exactly trans rights or anything, but he's expressed kindness towards trans people. So even if he's not trans positive or trans affirming, he would never like call a trans person a slur and be mean to them about it, right? He would never like, his politics are not based in a desire to gain like a negative reaction from people and be cruel, like many conservatives online are. That's the big difference. Like if Wendigoon is a conservative, he's fundamentally different than most internet conservatives, and that like 99% of internet conservatives are conservative for the reaction. They're conservative because they know that being conservative and saying conservative things will piss you off and it'll get a reaction, and that's what they want. They're desperate for a reaction. But I don't think that's the case for Wendigoon. I think it's just in many ways how he was raised, and in many ways he is a nice guy who doesn't see his politics getting in the way of that. But yeah, a lot of people on the left seeing that like big YouTubers like Brandon Herrera have managed to keep stuff like this under the rug.
Dedicated to preserving Confederate heritage and learning more about our ancestors who fought and died in the War of Northern Aggression. The SCV is open to any male over the age of 12 years old who has an ancestor who fought.
Men only, of course.
The Confederate Army.
Yeah, I got massively canceled for covering this, by the way. Just so you know, like I have no, I hope, I know that Wendigoon wouldn't want his fans to harass me for making this video. But I know that many of his fans will do it anyway. That's the big problem. You see, another thing that doesn't really help Wendigoon's case when it comes to the perception a lot of left-leaning people have is the people that defend him, not just his friends, but those that come out to defend him. So, for example, people calling out the fact that Wendigoon is friends with transphobes results in tweets like this getting tens of thousands of likes from his fan base saying things like, Twitter drama becomes less serious by the day, because how the fuck am I going to see countless tweets talking about Wendigoon being friends with whoever the fuck hates pedos? Mind it, they won't ever say that they're transphobic or they hate trans people. They'll say they hate pedos. Because remember, for the last 5 years, the right has done a massive, marketing campaign to rebrand trans people in their rhetoric as simply just pedos or groomers. Like, when they refer to trans people, they don't want to have to say transgenders or any of that. They just want to be able to say pedophiles or pedos. So they can just immediately poison the well. And not only that, but apply a label to LGBT people that 90% of society agrees makes someone deserving in a brutal death, right? Like, if you call, I'd say 90% of people in our society agree that pedophiles deserve to be killed. 90% of people you pull on the street. There's a reason why conservatives want so badly for trans people and pedos to be synonymous, right? So they've been doing that for a while, and now sometimes they just use it interchangeably. Same way with DEI, for example, that famous tweet where it's the DEI mayor of Baltimore, where it's okay, the mayor was elected. DEI is impossible to be a thing in an elected position, so you literally just mean black. DEI just means the N-word, right? So they use it interchangeably now. Yeah. Ironically enough, the closest you could get, politically to using a political view and pedophilia as interchangeable is conservatives. Conservatives literally have a higher rate of child sexual abuse by a massive margin than people who are left-leaning. So, I mean, it is what it is. But a lot of the people that'll come out to criticize you if you, or not criticize you, but to attack you if you criticize Wendigoon, I mean, look at the videos that have been made and who's made them so far about this whole situation. Brandon Buckingham, a right-leaning shock jock YouTuber, probably one of the better people to cover this. Bo Blacks, he's a fine guy. Sensitive Society, probably one of the newer right-wing grift channels. He's a Leafy clone. Here's an episode of PKA that he was on. I assume this is a Mogul Mail about it, a Wendigoon video. Wendigoon on PK. Some of the stuff that's about, Willie Mack show's okay, but you can see the framing both from people that are left-ish leaning to centrist leaning to right adjacent to full-on right-wing are all united in defending Wendigoon and saying most racist leftists. I like Willie Mack's new videos. The video he's criticizing is shit. The people Willie Mack criticizes tend to be shit. They really, really do. I like Willie Mack's stuff, but fucking hell, bro. A lot of the stuff is just ending up becoming, it's literally the lefties are bad channel now. And half the time I have to agree with a lot of the criticism. More than half the time I have to agree with a lot of the criticism. It's fuck, where's the left right now? Wherein everybody is united in making valid criticisms of some of the biggest people on the left that you can't really say anything about, right? It's in a rough place. His Vosh videos gave me cancer and Ebola at the same time. I mean, nothing in the videos were lies. What did Willie Mack show say in the videos that were lies? I don't recall a single thing being an untruth in there. It's uncharitable to be sure. He does not like Vosh, and it's very, mean and uncharitable, but he doesn't lie about him at any point or misrepresent any info. I don't call a single lie in it myself. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, if you can remind me, but I don't remember anything being wrong. Anyway, like I said, though, I think this kind of stuff worries me. I think the situation... this whole video was far less about me wanting to talk about how I feel about Wendigoon and where I think Wendigoon's politics are, because frankly, I mean, I've already expressed what I think. I think Wendigoon's probably just a nice, genuine guy who grew up in a pretty conservative place, pretty Christian place, and it's been his upbringing, it's been his whole life, and that's probably never going to change. It could, but probably wouldn't expect it. And surprisingly, it's not impacted his politics. Or his beliefs. He's one of the 1 in 1,000 conservatives you'll meet on the internet who's actually a nice guy who's conservative, who doesn't just enjoy shitting on people who are left-leaning or minorities as like their go-to source of entertainment, and that's what makes them conservative. Wendigoon seems like the kind of guy who's just like grew up conservative. Like Connor Points, yeah. Connor Points is somebody who is conservative that I actually get along fairly well with. Like, I don't agree with everything, but like, he's a chill dude. Like, he has some pretty good opinions on some things as well. Like, sometimes I get surprised by that. So yeah, maybe Wendigoon's in a similar situation. Maybe, like, he is somewhat right-leaning, but behind the scenes, though he doesn't talk much politics, he's kind of fed up with Trump. We don't know. He doesn't even get into politics all that much when he goes onto PKA. I will say, he kind of looks uncomfortable when they make a racist joke on PK, and I can't tell if that's him not wanting to be on screen as, like, a Holocaust denial joke is made, or if that's him, like, genuinely being upset by it. But he certainly doesn't speak out against it. Anyway, what I think is more important, less so than Wendigoon and what his politics are, is how the optics of criticizing Wendigoon look for the left. Have you seen anybody get, like, convinced that Wendigoon is... not even that this is the claim that, like, the left is trying to make, but have you seen anybody be swayed by the arguments the left is making about Wendigoon that are, like, a Wendigoon fan or, like, center-leaning or just, like, a normie? I've yet to see a single one. The consensus seems to be that even non-Wendigoon fans think the criticism of him is deranged. Because the fact is, the left does not know how to pick and choose its battles. And it's just very self-destructive. And right now, I think, is a perfect example of that. Wait, Xander, what happened with Paper Mario, the 1,000-Year Door? We're not covering that right now, but we will later. But yeah, I think that I'm a pretty big Wendigoon fan. You need some hard evidence to turn me against. Exactly, right? Like, he's got one of the most loyal audiences out there. Like to give you an idea, I'm pretty sure even my most loyal fans don't measure up to, like, the average fan of Wendigoon. Like, I lost a good 20% of my active audience because I stopped being friends with Keffels. To give you an idea. Like, Wendigoon could probably actually kill somebody, and most of his fans would be like, okay, but why did he kill that person? Like, but hold on. Why did he do it, though? I need to know why, because, like, you know? Lamau, yeah, but unfriending Keffels was based? Well, yeah, but I'm not making a comparison of who's doing a based thing. I'm making a comparison of, like, who has an audience that's more, like, reverent, right? Like, I feel that Wendigoon would probably have to, like, do something really bad to get the, like, level of hate that many other YouTubers, including myself, would get for doing something far less bad. I got hate in Voshcord because of you? Yeah, Vosh's community hates me. I got mocked in Voshcord due to being a fan of yours? Yeah. I haven't talked to Vosh since the, like, Keffels thing. Like, since I burned the bridge with Keffels. And ever since then, his community has been exceptionally cruel to me. So I haven't even been to chat or, like, in any of his community. So I don't even know if me and Vosh are friends anymore. I haven't, like, burned the bridge with him or anything. It's just anytime I go anywhere adjacent to his community, I'm, like, I'm assaulted with so much harassment. Granted, I wonder if that had stopped now since, like, Keffels got exposed. But maybe not, because they've hated me since then, too. They only hate you now? Yeah, they really do. It's crazy. But yeah, I think it's just the perfect example of how, like, fucked the left is right now, right? Like, it's not just the left looks deranged, it's that the left is kind of deranged right now. I'm not gonna lie. Like, the amount of blatant Biden hate during an election season is kind of deranged behavior, low-key. Why do they hate you, Zan? It kind of depends. It's a variety of things. You'd have to ask around. You get different answers every time. Most of them kind of just... A lot of them think I'm just not good enough at being a politics streamer to have earned the success that I've had so far, even if it's a very minimal amount of success. That's usually the most common reason for why people will just hate you, is they don't get why people like you, and you have some success, and they think you don't deserve it. And that, like, boils into, like, either not... It can go from not caring to being, like, disliking to outright hating and wishing to see fall. because, yeah, that's dumb. You've taught me a lot. Well, to be fair, a lot of those people probably just seen a clip of me. But yeah, I mean, you know, it is what it is. But my point is, I think this whole Wendigoon thing is a great example of how bad of a place the left is in right now when it comes to rhetoric. It's why lately I've tried to chill out a lot more with my criticisms. Like, maybe you guys have seen I've been a lot more charitable to even, like, right adjacent content creators and even somewhat more friendly with them, because I'm going to be honest, guys. Like, I don't know if you've noticed, but the left is in no position right now to, like, play powerful. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, the left is in no position right now to be on the attack against literally anyone popular at the moment. Like, if you get into a drama with a right-wing figure right now, that is not good for you. You will not have enough support to balance things out or win in that, you know? We're back in another era similar to Gamergate, and it makes me wonder, does that mean that we're going to have a repeat of 2016? Exactly. Will this sort of, like, cultural swing to the right online result in another Trump win? Very well could. We'll have to see. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like. It really does help a lot. It's a totally free way of supporting the channel, my videos, my content. So whether you're watching live, no matter when, where, or what you're watching, consider dropping a like. It really does help a lot, and I hope you thought that my opinions here were somewhat valid. And as a matter of fact, if you're a Wendigoon fan and you've stumbled across this video, and you've never seen me before, like, you're just like a Wendigoon fan who like was looking for people talking about the guy who made a video against Wendigoon, I want to know what you thought. Like, genuinely. Many of you might not have watched this far, but if you did, I do want to know what you thought, because I'm not criticizing Wendigoon here. I'm just kind of, like, analyzing him in a... I'm not, like, trying to character assassinate or anything, just sort of lightly analyzing him from a left-wing perspective. And I'm curious how many people in Wendigoon's community are like, yeah, that's fine, and how many will genuinely jump on you even at the slightest implication of, like, someone not thinking Wendigoon is, like, totally 100% perfect squeaky clean. Like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. You can also comment down below, subscribe, ring the bell icon, turn on all notifications, and maybe even consider following my social medias linked down below. And don't forget, if you haven't already, make sure to join my fan Discord. It is the hub of my fan base, the hub of my community. Totally free to join through the link down below. And we host watch parties, call-in streams, and game events there. I also announce all my uploads and streams there. And we're doing a watch party after stream today. So make sure you join the Discord and get ready for that watch party if you haven't already, because I can't wait to see you guys there. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching this segment.